All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been a long, very long 36 hours for Miguel and myself. Like you see in the background, the hood of my truck is up. We had some issues on the way down. Just, you know, stuff happens. Lift pump went out. Well, you guys don't care. Just, we didn't get into 3 in the morning. We woke back up at 6 a.m. to be out here in practice. Miguel just went out. He's not really good at a track that he doesn't know yet. And we don't know the gearing and we don't know crap. So we're trying to hunt for something at the moment. So basically the first practice sessions will be a wash. And then from there, we'll figure it out. But I'm about to go out my first practice session. Miguel looked good after he got settled down. So we'll see what he says when he comes off track. And then I'll head out, turn a couple laps, figure it out, and try to get quicker from there. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share like always. If you don't like the video, hit the down button. It's not going to hurt me. Leave a comment what I can do better. Try my best here. Just let me know what I'm doing wrong and I'll fix it. Thanks, guys, for everything. Let's get after it. We're here for the first practice at Biloxi. And let me tell you, immediately when I got on track, dang, this is a fun layout. Getting to a location is awesome. The ocean's right across from the track, and then the layout is awesome. I mean, I loved it. It reminded me a lot of Orlando and Bushnell having a little baby, and this is basically it. You have some tight sections, some fast sections. You have some sections with transitions in it. You have these little S's that go into some tight turns. It is badass. If you get the opportunity to come out here and try it out, it's at Biloxi at Finishline, and definitely I would recommend it. First session, of course, is just getting used to, see if we're on the right gear, close to the gear, finding out which way left and right is, seeing how the cart felt. Really, the first two-way practice is just throwaways, really no changes to the cart. Just get out there, learn the track, and then see how hard you can push it before you wreck. That's the main goal, is finding the limit, and then from there just improving on it. Just overall had fun. You come down here to late break, you turn in. There was no rubber today because it rained all day before, but the track started to rubber up slowly. Here you go in light. I wouldn't drive in too deep. Sometimes I would drive in deep, sometimes I wouldn't. And then this was basically, I thought I did pretty good in this turn. I would start wide and cut it down tight, but the thing is, if you start wide, there's 2 transition spots that kind of upset the cart and made it hop like crazy. And then in this little back section, I thought I was doing really well as well. You go in, turn the cart in early for me, and then just drive it out. Overall, decent lap times. I really didn't know. Lifetime wasn't up, so nobody knew what the hell they were doing. Plus, first practice session. A lot of us haven't been here, so it was good for sure. Hey, first session out, had a freaking blast. That's about it. Had a blast. Track is extremely fun. Only downside to this place is no parking spots. Other than that,
well, those barriers are sketchy, right? When Mikey, he got put in the barriers on the front.
Oh yeah. Mikey goes and wrecks the cart in the first practice session. Literally, I go out and he's walking right back in. I don't get it. This kid just cannot stop hitting stuff.
It wasn't my fault.
Ridiculous. Just stop. All right, for practice session 2, I dropped 2 teeth. I thought I was on the limiter too hard, and that's extremely rare for me to say something like that. So I start off like in a 3.93 gear ratio and then drop down to a 3.73 gear ratio. Yeah, I'm giving away the gear ratios just in case you want to come out here and not hunting. That's for the heavy gear. That's what I ran on the wider rims. And then from there, no adjustments, just got more comfortable of where I can push the cart. Track started to get a little bit better after everybody got a good run in the first time out. Playing with tire pressure was a big deal as well. It was difficult to figure it out. We didn't get the tire pressure down until, I gotta say, Saturday morning is when we finally sent it in on the tire pressure. But we ended up starting around 18 to 19 on PSI, and then from there You know, we kept bumping them up. The track owner recommends 17 to 18. So basically that was it. It was just the surface. It was so crazy. Every time we went low on tire pressure, you would slow down by a good 7 to 8 tenths. It was, for us, it was insane. I couldn't wrap my head around it. But, you know, start getting more confident, start driving a little bit better, start driving in corners a little bit deeper. Gotta keep that roll speed up, though. You don't want to bog down out of the corners. It'll just kill you. And then from here on out, it was just, you know, trying different lines behind people, seeing, you know, which way was the quickest way around. There's more ways to skin a cat for sure. So definitely and trying to gauge gearing, I see where everybody was at on gearing, if we're all pretty close or not. Basically, we were right around them. I felt like everybody else might have like maybe a half a tooth up on me. I know Insco had like maybe a half a tooth down on me. Plus, my motor doesn't push through the limiter. There's some motors out there like Kevin. Every single time Kevin's behind me knocking my back door off, I'm like, man, he has to be at least a half a tooth lower than me. No, his motor just has that top end power that hits that limiter and just drives right through it. Mine doesn't. Mine hits the limiter and stop. And that's just, you know, luck of the draw. It doesn't mean the engine builder is doing something to make it go through the limiter. That's ignition. So it's just some coils push through and some coils don't. I was really happy, and I was trying to see if I can make some turns here. I went real deep on the brakes, and I did not think I was going to get a 2-for-1, but it worked. And then that was like an aha moment for me. Like, wow, you can really drive it in a lot harder than I have been doing. So from there on out, I just started driving the car a lot harder into the turns and releasing the brakes early and then getting on the power early. So it was using a lot less braking than I expected. And then this last turn here, man, coming to the front straightaway, I sucked so bad. So it was just getting used to it. I was still happy with the lap times. Then I was going to throw in a setup that usually works, but it backfired because there was no grip on track for sure. I didn't touch gearing, and this is the setup that usually, you know, brings the butter and the bacon and all the home. You know, it's the grand setup, but man, it was not the setup for today. Insco, you know, passed me and then walked away like stealing candy from a baby. It was not fair. And that's not the only thing he did. He decided to pull off and do it again later on the run, just to add salt to the wound. Oh my gosh, this was not the setup for today. Honestly, it was just not there. There was no grip. If you want to free up a chassis, this is definitely the setup for a kart that, you know, has some grip. But the final corner, it would just roll through that final corner. So I knew something was there. But, man, I could not keep the rear end under me to save my life. I had amazing turning, but that back end kept sliding all over the place. It just did not have the grip. It did not like it at all. Also, running a low tire pressure, probably did not like it at all. It was just a big mess. But, you know, they weren't really, you know, running away from me. They were just faster, and then I slowed down so much in that section. It was insane of how much doing a setup change like this, because I was running narrow weekend. I was basically on the jack setup. I showed up on my Jacksonville setup and just put a little bit of negative camber and called it good. And then went from Jacksonville setup to my grand setup, and I made the kart way free. And then James always does it. He always waves his hand, gets a couple good laps in. I thought he was going to pull off. No. He wanted to get behind Todd because he was so dang fast, and he wanted to follow Todd around. And then towards the end of the run, Todd and James want to be funny and pass me again. So that's just basically how the run went down. And then he wasn't the only one that passed me. Kevin also blew by me too. So it was just a pass Jorge party during this practice session. But it taught me some things. Definitely not the setup for a green track that's not rubber down yet. Definitely the setup for a track that has some rubber down, of course. That's why I call it the grand setup. Is extremely free, and that's the way I like to drive it. But overall, learned a lot. Not the best practice session, but was able to drive the kart differently better. So in the end, P6, we're starting to see timing up. That practice session sucked. This is the first time the grand setup does not work. Not for me. It's way too free. I was sliding all over the place. I lost a second, so I gotta go find it back. Hopefully this other setup that was working earlier works great, because Mike ain't happy. All right, this probably was one of the best setups I put in the cart. I basically took jacks and grands and went right down the middle. And then I dropped a tooth, which was probably my mistake. I should have probably gone up a tooth to the 580 gear ratio, the 580, and I went down to a 368. And that, I did not like it. But the cart was rolling so well in the infield, so the speed was there. But it was just not, it had a lot more in it. Felt great, felt really good. And then I just needed more bottom end, and it was the gearing. The gearing was all it. That was all basically what I needed. It's just basically stack the teeth back on the cart. Would have done way better in the tighter section. The cart was handling great. I really wasn't doing much of anything other than, going from one setup to another. I played a little bit. I was getting there, and then I was about to do something that, I never ever do to the cart, and I hate doing it because it really gets this cart. It's quick. It's quick if you know how to drive and you know how to tune for it, but I'm not a guy that likes to run a log caster. So I played around with it. I went straight to a crazy, let's try some things to wake these MGMs up. It's not that they weren't fast. They just weren't woken up. They needed a smack in the freaking face. And this next thing was the key. Dylan came over and told me, what do you think about this? So I decided to put this in, and I went to this, what I call special practice, because I had to try it out real fast, real quick, and then see if it worked. So I went out again right away just to get that one extra test in to make sure that the setup I did try worked. And man, did this thing wake up. It was the hybrid setup with just a little bit of a tweak. And man, that's the tweak that we really needed. And that was just a combination of old tires, tracks just not rubbered in just yet. So really, it was just a combination of everything, but this is what ends up biting me in the end. This combination of everything was culminating to bite me for the next day. So I finally have learned my lesson, and I will put on new practice tires for Charlotte. I will not make this mistake again to get the cart fast on old tires and then have to re-chase it the following day. You know more about it in the next video, but this was just it. And I have Hunter in front of me. He was real quick all weekend. He had his car, dialed in, and he was driving really well too. So it took me, driving my butt off to run him down and then stay right on him. I was just right there. I learned a lot from that session. It was really good, and you can see that was just a transition. There was two lines in that right-hander that if you took it too wide, man, your cart, you felt like you're in a bull riding ring. So everybody would keep that line tight. That was just a regular racing line. Everybody would just drive it down and then keep tight. And then following Todd during the race, I found another racing line that basically you could almost block this whole track without meaning to block it. So it was really, difficult to get it down. I got in the back of Hunter there for a second. He waved in hand. He said, "Corey, go around me." But it was really the fine line. But overall, found the session. Heck, man, P2, it was on rails. All right, here we go. Practice 5. I now did one more change. I went to one more thing I wanted to try out real quick, and the cart was faster. All right, the cart was much faster. In that last session, I went back to my 373 on the special practice gearing, so I went up. And then this last session, I made the cart quicker, but I did not like the way it drove. It created a push on it just pushed. That's what the cart was just doing. It was just pushing, and I had to drag a lot of brake to get the cart to rotate. So it was quicker though, but it made in my mind. So now I know that I was not creating enough jacking to get the cart to start the rotation that it needed, but the cart was quicker. So I just had to change my driving style around it to work with the kart. Sometimes you don't get the setup down, and you have to make adjustments in your driving to make the kart do what it really wants to do. So that was basically a big part of it, and I was getting a lot faster coming around this last corner. I was basically flat-footing it from here on out, and if I had to do anything, I'd just drag a little brake. I wasn't lifting anymore in that last section. You were able to flat-foot it if you took it right. If you didn't take it right, you could flat-foot it right into the barriers. So it was basically finding that fine line and just getting the kart to do what you wanted to do. So I would just, use a little bit extra brake when I needed to. I would force the grip down in the front, so I'd push a lot harder on the steering wheel and try to get that front grip down. I was, working the wheel. It did work, but it was just a handful of drive, so I was debating on which setup to go in the morning. In the end, driving right at this time of day, it is beautiful. You get to see the ocean out there while on track. The only part that I did not like about it is entering the left-hander onto the fast section. You couldn't see a damn thing. So it was like playing Russian roulette. If you got it right, you're good to go. If you didn't get it right, you would end up in the barriers. But luckily enough, I was able to get it right. Right here, when you turn right, the sun just beams in your eyes and you can't see much of anything. Right here into this final section too, even with the visors down. But it was a beautiful day out there. Kart was real quick. And up P1, but it's just practice, and nobody wins practice. So thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next video.